For example, when somebody comes in, day 1, lead capture, data start. Day 2, made contact. Day 3. So you have that. This is the power of when it comes to volume. Okay, salespeople break along the way. Maybe they might do this and they forget. And then again, you're going to have to go back to motivation. We don't want to rely on that, especially if we're paying for ads, if we're putting a lot of upfront energy into acquiring leads. And if there's holes in our pocket. In this video, I'm going to share with you how quietly AI agents are replacing ineffective sales teams in your business and other businesses that are utilizing this method of incorporating AI agents, right? So let's get right into this video and what it looks like, right? When you think of AI agents, you might be thinking of robotics. Yes, in fact, that is the case. However, on the back end, these AI agents are running on either your system, on the cloud, and we're going to look into exactly how that works for your business, right? I'm going to give you an overall view of what that looks like, exact end-to-end process, how the old school way of business was being done, and how a new mechanism is being put in place. Now, on average, on one potential sales rep, you can get 3 to 5 AI agents to help them out to increase the output. That means if you had a sales team of 10 plus right now, and if you're playing that game, you're playing a 1-to-1 ratio versus a different company who might have a smaller headcount, 1 to 5 salespeople, and they have 3 AI agents on board for those sales agents. They probably look like they're doing the output of a 50-man company, right? So how is the process started? How is the current process? So the current process looks like this. It's a little bit tedious. It's a little bit slow, okay? And the reason for that is because you have a dumb lead capture. So what does that mean in reality? When it comes to this is, you know how a mobile phone right now these days they call it a smartphone or smart TV, essentially the same thing. The current way it really looks like when a lead enters your system, right, it gets conjugated in an actual CRM, okay? And that CRM is just a bunch of data. You have to go out there, update it. Maybe you might have automation, what we call layer 1 automation, okay? Some people mistake that for AI, but it's actually surface level layer 1 automation. It just, it talks to maybe a Zapier, a lead captures, goes to your calendar, and it goes directly to your CRM. And someone else has to take care of that. So you're operating in a dumb manner, right? Kind of like a dumb phone, okay? Then the next process is you have a team, potentially, a 10-man team. It's costing you maybe 5,000 each. So you might be losing a lot of money on the table operating in this method if you're a larger company, or you might be by yourself. Okay, so you have a head count, and the head count requires certain set of things. They need to get paid. They need to make sure they're trained. They need to make sure, there's always new people coming in case people want to quit. Right, so that requires a lot of input, more staff, HR to manage that, okay? The negative side effect of that for your business is actually very inefficient, meaning there's a time for performance. So most likely 9 to 5, okay? There's 8-hour period, maybe 7 hours lunchtime, a little bit of chit-chat time. So only you're getting this much effectivity out of your 10-man sales team. And one of the other factors is also, there's people, like I said, there's inconsistencies at play. You're relying on human emotions. Oh, this person is not performing. Every once a week, they want a new list to, maybe they're not meeting their KPIs and they're blaming on the list, and you have to run around and provide that, right? So there's doubt. Doubt comes in if the sales team isn't performing. Not the best position to be in. Okay, this might relate to your business. If it's small, you know how that feels like. Now, if you were a business owner and you knew the new mechanism, you had a small sales team, large sales team. Well, the first thing you would operate is having a smart lead capture. A smart lead capture, similar to a mobile device or smart TV, the difference is it actually knows the prospect on a different level. It's not a layer 1. So if prospect comes in from LinkedIn, you have essentially a database that updates that, gets to know that person's, maybe their background, what they're about, instead of you having to go do that for you. So tools like Perplexity, those types of tools are very good at that. to go out there and research and know a little bit about your prospect beforehand. So that's what we mean by having a smart system in place. Okay. And then from that point on, you have almost a learning cycle that your AI agents, your sales team, this system that you build is smart, gets to learn on that person. Okay, when a person enters the system, you right now as a salesperson, you might look at their, you might look at that lead, brush it off 10 minutes, and then maybe make a personalized note on the CRM about them. Even if you do that, okay? However, when you have a system like a smart with AI agents set in place, they constantly on parallel go and research their prospect to find new angles and have the offer that you have personalized for them. So you might be an agency and you might be offering multiple different offers, okay? Or maybe a design offer. You might have a human resource offer. So all these things can be personalized. So when you do hop on that call with the person, you're talking their language. You're talking the offer they want. So per one human, we have 3 different AI agents helping them, allowing them to, get data, make sure all those gaps are filled. So here's what the new mechanism really looks like, right? Like we mentioned, we have the old model here. And within the old model, you have your regular 10-man team, which leads into inconsistent scripting every time because you're depending on the person's, how they feel, how ready they are. Maybe they didn't have their morning coffee. Maybe they didn't get to read about that person's, personality, what they want. So it's inconsistent all the time. There's no track record when you do that. Humans just not ideal or good at that because you're not a machine. So the motivation and burnout, this is one thing that I notice is kind of gets annoying over time. You always got to come back, hyped up the sales team and make sure they perform. If one time they're performing good like this, next week it's going to go down. So there's an inconsistency when it comes to that, right? And the last one is a 9 to 5 gap. So you have these gaps where if a lead gets captured, you have to potentially wait over the weekend for someone to manage that lead. So that, again, that's a leak in your pocket. And that's almost like an outdated model when you look at the new model, right? The new mechanism, which per one human, you have 3 AI agents or salespeople helping them out, which really do 3 different things for them. Making sure it's consistent. When the lead comes in, they have that clever positioning. It does research up front, understands what the ICP is looking for. It's not hesitant when it comes to follow-ups, okay? Because the money is made in the follow-ups. And if a salesperson delays that, or if a lead comes in, they delays that, we want to make sure that's out of the picture. So there's no hesitance. And it's organized, it's immediate. It does what we need it to do in a roadmap setting. So for example, when somebody comes in, day 1, lead captured, data start. Day 2, made contact. Day 3. So you have that. This is the power of when it comes to volume. Okay, salespeople break along the way. Maybe they might do this and they forget. And then again, you're going to have to go back to motivation, motivate them, bring them back on track. So we don't want to rely on that, especially if we're paying for ads, if we're putting a lot of upfront, energy into acquiring leads. And if there's holes in our pocket. So we need that immediate and organized action, which again, the agents come and help the humans to make sure we're, efficient. So if you're asking all this, okay, what's this going to happen? Is this going to take over the jobs of, the current salespeople? It's probably not, because when it comes to it, there's really 3 different categories that the whole sales department operates. Okay, so we want to break it into 3 different characters. Prior to this, the human was responsible for all 3, which is inefficient, right? They had to filter out the leads. When a lead comes in, they had to make sure Rob is being taken care of. What's the Rob about? I have to do that research. So that is a pain point for the salesperson. Okay, it's a very tedious task, but it captures, it's responsible for most of your leads showing up to whatever offer you have. So we want to help the agents come and help with that when a lead comes in. Okay, the most effective thing for a human to spend their time on is obviously the things that AI can't really come into play. So for example, that's like the negotiation aspect, right? If your offer has some type of negotiation aspect, some special legality, customer has a question on potential security, maybe it's custom pricing, all that stuff. This is where the human comes in. Okay, they're good at the empathy part, building trust, making sure that person's taken care of, the messaging, the relationship aspect, cracking jokes, all that stuff. This is where the human comes in. And if they do a really good job and they like their job, they will excel. Okay, and then making sure the deals are actually closed, because you could say no to a machine and hang up the phone on them, but if you do this over time with an actual person, you're going to feel some type of guilt, right? So this is where, if you have a relationship with somebody and you follow up, you do a good job, 2 months, 3 months, keep messaging him, hey, John, how was it? Hey, John, by the way, right? Over time, that person's like, hey, this guy I like him. Or they build a relationship, a bond, and they're not just going to, if you've done the work and the value proposition, if you help them enough, you get them what you agreed on eventually. Okay. Versus if they knew you were an AI or something, or a machine or voicemail, they just hang up, no emotion, right? So this is where the human comes in and make sure the deal actually gets closed, because there's that factor of people having some type of guilt if they talk to you over time and you kind of provided value with them, right? So that's the biggest factor, the biggest job. The AI agents, mostly, their job is making sure the pipeline is taken care of. There's no leads being, forgotten about. The data is obviously coming in. It's making sure it's giving you access to all the updated information on that potential person, the value you can provide. The cold outreach, you have the outbound agents, right? If someone came in, and then you have the inbound agents, which is, if you're running ads, immediate factor. So for the inbound agents, obviously this one's a very highly effective one for the AI agents, because, if you have a lead coming at 8 p.m., nobody's in the office, and you have 5 minutes to call that person. Otherwise, the lead's going to go cold and forget about it, and you're going to lose your dollar spent. You want your inbound agents to take care of that. So that's the main biggest ROI from what I've seen incorporating into businesses is inbound agents. The outbound agents come take over the slack, and this is down the line if no one gets successful to filter. Okay. So those are the main things. And your job as someone who's building these growth systems is putting these 3 pieces together, making sure the AI and all these things have the correct method of approaching. So all that's, it's not hallucinating. It's going according to your company. So that's your first thing. The next thing is refining the sales cycle, having good models to go after. And then the last thing is making sure your agents have some type of context. It's not thrown into a one file. You have external files and internal files. And the way really that works is pretty interesting, because most people get this one wrong. Right. So if you have 2 different methods, so one is a set of laws and rules the agent operates in, and the other one is a set of new tactics that the agent can utilize. So this is an interesting one. Your job becomes as the person who orchestrating these things to know these 3 different things if you want a very effective process for AI and AI agents. If you're someone that actually tried to, I talk to a lot of people that, they tested out an inbound agent through maybe a VAPI or systems like that and say, oh, it's not good enough. That's because you went on the surface level and you skipped these steps. You didn't obviously have a RAG in place. You didn't have these vector databases or any of these. So if you are someone that tried AI agents in the past and you're like, oh, it's not good enough, it's not there yet, it's because you haven't obviously went deep enough. You haven't went to layer 3, 4. You probably tapped into surface level, and that's pretty much it for you. You need to get back and understand these systems and start utilizing. So that being said, at the end of all this, if you execute it correctly, you will get into a undoubtable value proposition for your company. The messaging, you'll accumulate the messaging better, and obviously with the end goal of increasing your revenues. All right. So if you think this is something that may help you, or you're someone that wants to learn more about this, check out the description below. We also are giving some free resources in our community that you can utilize. So check out the description below or go to school.com/AIDEPT, AI department. You can potentially learn a lot of things there and collaborate with people to see if this is right for your business, or if you can learn about this stuff so you can set yourself up with the right skill sets for the future. That's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one.